My name is Shauna Patnode, and I am proud to serve as the Executive Director at the Arts Council of the North Okanagan. As an umbrella organization and a hub for the arts in our community, our mission is to stimulate, encourage, and promote artistic and cultural development.
So my name is Martin Phreeagent. I'm the Executive Director at Vernon Immigrant and Community Services Society. Our mission is to support newcomers to Canada in becoming contributing, thriving members of the community.
My name is Ryan Coutron. I am the CEO of Vernon and District Association for Community Living, also known as Venture Training. We are a non-for-profit association that supports adults with developmental disabilities in Vernon, British Columbia.
My name is Liz Blakeway, and I'm the Executive Director of Land2Table. We are a network-based organization, which means we work across our local food system with everyone from farmers, food processors, distributors, retailers, chefs, and we're really focused on growing our local food economy and increasing access to the food that's grown here for those who need it most.
My name is Leisha Rosnow. I'm the Executive Director of the Caetani Cultural Centre, and we are a arts and culture centre right in the heart of Vernon, BC. We have an artist in residency program. We have a beautiful designated heritage home with museum exhibits, and we host and facilitate arts and culture programming and events in every medium of the arts.
We help over 250 people a day probably with disabilities in the community. We have over 200 staff. We're one of the biggest employers in the North Okanagan, so just letting people know things like that they just don't really know what we do.
We know that food is integral to the health and well-being of individuals and therefore communities. We know that food is directly connected to our local food economy, especially in agriculture producing areas like ours in the North Okanagan and into the Okanagan and Shuswap.
I've heard stories from people who visit the Vernon Community Arts Centre on a regular basis, and it's really changed their life. They feel a connection that they didn't have before.
I think funders are starting to realize the uniqueness of organizations like ours and starting to support racialized people more, and this has been a very positive change. But I think there's still a misconception that the government pays for all of an immigrant's expenses, and this is far from the truth.
At this time of year, it feels like 75 to 85% of my job is applying for funding and diversifying revenue and looking at different paths to revenue.
And so we're operating all of our social enterprises now out of our own pocket. And the change there is that we have a little bit more flexibility to do some different things.
I probably entered the nonprofit sector a little bit naive because I was asking a lot of questions about why the funding wasn't available. And I started to push back with funders in terms of why they couldn't fund us and why they couldn't fund us for longer than 1 year at a time. And was really surprised at the scarcity mindset. And I think that scarcity really stifles innovation. But I also think when you push it, it creates an opportunity for funders to enter into a relationship where that innovation piece is really exciting.
We're running them basically like a complete business, looking at the bottom line, trying to increase profits so that we can use that money to then help with things such as talent retention.
If your marketing is out in the world, if you've got a great social media campaign throughout the year, if you're postering around town, if you're getting out press releases and it's being covered on provincial, national levels, people find out about a place. But in order to do that, you need communication and marketing professionals. You need to be able to pay them.
The possibilities, once you find some really talented staff, are endless in terms of how you can see a program really grow and be able to serve more people to a higher standard.
We need the organizational systems in place to have long-term sustainability as an organization. So that includes things like funding that can go towards IT, office space, which we have never had. So the ability to have the systems in place that allow us to undertake more projects, have greater impact, connect with more organizations, and do more, bring on more staff because the systems are in place to support all of that work.
If I could wave a magic wand and ask our policymakers, our grant funders, and just the general public, when they're thinking about giving funding to an organization, it would be to give unrestricted funding that could really help an organization with their marketing and with getting their message across.
Allowing funds to be more flexible and fluid to just the needs of the organization asking.
Things we've been taught to think about charitable giving and nonprofits are actually undermining the causes we love. Be open to funding nonprofits in a different way so that we can make a bigger impact and help the most vulnerable in our society.
What I haven't seen much of yet is multi-year funding, 3-year funding to get a project up and running, to trial it and see how it goes, and then to adapt it and expand it in a 3rd year. That's where I've seen really big change happen. And multi-year funding for operational costs would be, the cherry on top.
That we've made the choice of being working artists, we've made the choice of working not-for-profit sector, to trust us as well, that we can identify where funds are best used, the capacity that we would like to increase, and that we will use those funds well. We are all in this because we believe in what we do, we believe in the importance and the impact on our communities, and we are able to use the funds in the ways that we believe will have the most impact.